right. Looks like I'm live. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of A Little Bit of Everything, where we talk about everything pretty much. And anybody that is viewing this is more than welcome to contribute anything that is a matter of discussion that you may find interesting. And I purposely waited until now, today, at this time to go live because the Super Bowl is presently being broadcast. And something tells me that this stream isn't going to get as much views and ratings as the Super Bowl, but such is life. But the fact of the matter is, decentralized finance, products like Hex do bring more to the table than what the Super Bowl does. And it's really just a matter of people recognizing that fact. It's interesting that there's I think I saw a tweet where $20 billion has been put into gambling on this game alone. And, how much of a difference would it be if that money were put into something that actually improves people's lives? Watching the Super Bowl may be a temporary party, but it really doesn't do anything to improve the lives of the people who watch it. I mean, the people who play get paid. And if you gamble on it and you win, okay, fine, you make some money, but how much do you actually make and how long are you going to live on that before you lose it gambling on something else? But so this is why I'm going on at this time of the day rather than in the morning. Fact is, I slept in late anyway, so I wasn't really in the mood to go online this morning. So, speaking of Hex, man, how about that Godwell staking 3.5 billion Hex for 45 days? And he's getting I don't know, 100,000 t-shirts, something like that, some crazy amount. That's great for him. And man, that's really going to drive up the price of shares when that stake comes out. Wow. Shares are becoming more and more difficult with time to acquire. And this is going to be a big ratchet up in the price of shares. And what's interesting is that because he only staked it for 45 days, he can't claim COM because you have to stake for at least 6 months to be able to claim your start bonus for COM. So, but oh well, that's on him. But anyway, it's a good day, and it's good to just relax and just be here for whatever. And on these live streams, I usually take a moment to recognize a business in that may be local or just something that may have some connection with Hex or somebody with Hex that's in Hex. And the business that I want to highlight today I've never met the owner of this business, but she owns several restaurants in the Sedona area. And the one that I'm going to highlight today is actually rated as one of the top 100 restaurants in the entire country. And she also is a donor to the food bank, or the organization that provides our food bank with food. And this restaurant is just, I haven't been there yet, but um, the pictures of it that are online and on their website are just astonishing. I would love to be able to, drum up enough interest to have a meetup there. Hello, Mr. MT Coiner. Thank you for stopping in. Yeah, everybody's watching the Super Bowl right now. That's why I'm online right now, to give people a more viable opportunity than the Super Bowl. Because as I just said, Pulse Chain, DeFi, Hex, we bring more to the table than the Super Bowl does. So, yeah, I don't expect to get a lot of viewers, but I'm here anyway, just to be an alternative for people to watch other than Super Bowl. But anyway, as I was just saying, the business that I wanted to highlight on this show is called, let me bring it up here. It is the Mariposa Latin Inspired Grill. Like I said, I have not been here yet. It's in Sedona. And Lisa Dahl, the lady who owns it, as I said, she is a donor to the organization that provides our food bank with material. So that's the reason that I'm highlighting one of her businesses on this show today, just as a way of saying thank you for her contributions. And also, if you're coming through Sedona, Arizona anytime, I'd recommend that you eat at one of her restaurants. She owns two pizza places called Pizza Lisa, and I've eaten at one of them, and it was just delicious. So, like I said, it'd be really cool to host a meetup at this place. It's just a matter of, finding enough people in Arizona that would want to go, or people that would be willing to come to Arizona to go to a place like that. But anyway, this is the business of the day that I wanted to highlight. So, apart from that, I haven't paid too much attention to things that have been happening in the last 24 hours. I've been fairly occupied between last night and a good part of this afternoon. So actually, I guess just to occupy some time, I don't want to sound boring. But I want to take a look here at Twitter and see what we got going on here. Anything worth talking about here? These 404 NFTs I haven't really gotten into, so I don't know anything about those. Let's see. See a post from Donovan I just passed. I'd like to meet Donovan in Vegas. He said he's going to be there in March, so I'm working on getting there. Still don't know yet. Let's see. This guy who paints upside down while singing the national anthem. His artwork is pretty amazing, and it's interesting that there's quite a few artists that they tend to do their paintings upside down. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's not that far out of the ordinary. I saw somebody post earlier that Hex was trending along with the Super Bowl. Yeah, Hex is definitely more trend worthy than the Super Bowl. And it's good to see more Pulse X is getting burned. Uh, anyway, yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything up here that's really newsworthy. So I'm not going to waste any more time with that. Let's see. Oh, cool. I just noticed Escatar stopped in. Howdy. Hello there, Mr. Idaho. He says, I think I'm going to skip Vegas this time. Yeah, I haven't committed to it yet. And at this point, the only reason I'd really go is because it's only a few hours drive. I can get there in a day. I can leave in the morning, get there by dinner time, maybe hang out for a day, maybe spend the night and then come back the next day. But yeah, my house is kind of a priority for me at this time. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do in regard to that. So yeah. I didn't prepare any notes for today. I'm actually kind of tired. So I'm just running on just adrenaline and intuition for the moment. But I guess just to occupy some time, I can take a look at, we can go over some prices and just comment on that stuff. So looking at Go Pulse, I'm glad to see that the incentive token is above $3. I love the incentive token. I don't know why, but it's one of my three favorites. And as I've said on past streams, the three coins that I talk about on here are Hex, COM, and the incentive token. And I just think it's a great idea to provide people with a reward for providing liquidity. And, because by providing liquidity, you are providing price stability. So people who do that, they deserve some kind of gratuity. And that's essentially what the incentive token is. And I kind of have a goal right now. If I look at my portfolio, there's the portfolio feature there on GoPulse. And if I were to click on that and open up my personal portfolio, my incentive token yield that I earn I check it on a 24-hour basis. That right now is in third place behind PHEX and EHEX. It's surpassed my Hedron yield. So that was a goal. And it's going to take a long time before my incentive token yield even comes close to my Hex yield, which I'm not complaining about. But let's see. Andre, Pulse Bitcoin Miner. Hi, Tim. Glad you started streaming. Thank you, Andre. Yeah, I want to do everything I can for our little community here. a lot of what I talk about revolves around something I call the successful society, and I'm just doing everything in my power to make that happen. And yeah, as Guitar says, I love being able to see estimated yield on Go Pulse. Yeah, oh, I hear you. I love that too. Um, I love, it's preset to the 24-hour um, option. I don't know if you noticed, but um, there's the hourly, 24-hour, 7-day, and monthly. It's preset to 24 hours. So basically, what that tells me is how much I'm earning every night in my sleep. And it's hard to not love looking at that figure and when I wake up in the morning. So yeah, it's a really awesome thing. And so yeah, PulseX is chugging along with that buy and burn going on there. I'll probably have more to say about PulseX once, um, you know, maybe when the single-sided staking opens up or what have you. Mainly, the only the only function PulseX has for me is I put it into the farm with a whole bunch of pulse to get the incentive token. That's why I don't, you know, highlight that on this show. So, um, anyway, so that is that. Um, I guess what I can do now is just, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. I try to go for an hour each time I do one of these streams. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off today, just because I'm tired and I wasn't really prepared for this. I'm mainly on here now, just more of a sense of duty than anything else. So, with that, I do want to move into the Hexagon of the Day award. And as I've said on each episode, I like to take a moment to recognize somebody who is in the Hex, preferably Hex community, that is someone that has just shown me that they're just a real team player. They may not be somebody that's popular, a content creator, but they're there and they're doing their part to build a position and make Hex successful. So the person that I want to recognize and give this prestigious award to today, I have not met this person in person yet, but I'm looking forward to it because he is just somebody that I have a lot of respect for. He's been fairly active on Twitter, and he is a very talented person. He's put out some videos of him playing parts of songs on guitar and even on piano. Just a very talented guy and just very committed to the product and to the community. And best I could tell, he lives in the Midwest. But yeah, the next time I make a trip back east, I want to make a point to stop in and visit him just because I respect him. So the Hexagon of the Day award is going to go to, let me click my share screen here. Here we go. Optimus Kevtron. Like I said, he's not a day one Hexagon to the best of my knowledge, but he is definitely a team player, and I'm glad to know him to the extent that I do. Like I said, I'd like to meet him in person and you know, treat him to lunch or something, just as a way of showing my appreciation for his contribution to our community, to the space, to the product. So, yep, that is with that. So, Escatar, I don't know if you recognize my backdrop, but this is one of the pictures that I took on our way to Silver City when I was up there at your place back in 2022. And tell your wife's sister that I said hi the next time you see her. I remember I took the girls for a ride in my car, and she took some pictures of me that were, I really liked them. They were like really professional quality pictures. She was sitting in the back seat of my car, and just the angle that she got of like my posture, the car, the steering wheel, they're just great pictures. So, yeah. But anyway, huh, I just got an alert. Somebody just staked 150 million hex for 1,265 days. One of my favorite Twitter accounts, I want to bring this up. This isn't an account that would really qualify as the Hexagon of the Day award, because they actually provide a bigger service than that, and there's not. It's almost like a bot, but there is a personality behind it, because once in a while they'll post something that's somewhat. It's obviously not an automated thing, but if you're not aware of it, excuse me, you folks need to be following Hex Alerts. Their handle is at WhaleHex. I get a notice from these guys on my phone whenever I subscribe to their notifications. So it pops up on my phone every time there's a significant transaction that's done on chain, stake, purchase, sell, whatever. And yeah, these guys kill it. And so, yeah, somebody just staked 150 million hex. And I want to take a moment to say hello to Miss Sandy Beach. Thank you for stopping by, Sandy. It's hello, Tim. Glad to make a live stream, but I'm at a Super Bowl party, so just checking in to say hi. Well, thank you for taking the time to check in. Yeah, I purposely went online at this time to provide a alternative for Hexicans to watch rather than the Super Bowl, but I understand if you're at a Super Bowl party. So enjoy your party, and yeah, thank you for stopping by. As I said, I don't know how much longer this particular episode's going to go, because I didn't really go out of my way to prepare for this one. So, but anyway, to change the subject a little bit, I remember a couple days ago, I saw a tweet that it highlighted a statement in a legal document. Supposedly, the Department of Justice was investigating the president for something, but they decided not to pursue it or not to prosecute, because apparently the president, because he's old and he doesn't remember very well. So that was their excuse for not, doing their job. And I just, when I read that, I'm like, wow, if that's true, it's like, what authority does this guy have to even be the president if that's the case? Wow. This coming election is going to be quite a circus. Um, I'm curious to see which one of the libertarian candidates actually gets the nomination in our party. Uh, because as I was talking with my accountant on Friday, she is from Argentina and she has family in Argentina. And I was asking her about Javier Milei. He's the president of Argentina. And so she was kind of giving me her personal experience growing up in Argentina and what that country had become as a result of decades of all of these socialist programs that require funding from taxes, and just how that just degraded the whole country. It ruined the economy uh, for years. Escatar says he already fired a big chunk of the federal government there, didn't he? Yeah, he just eliminated thousands of jobs and multiple departments, like entire departments. He just did away with them. And he didn't have any resistance. Like his entire cabinet is supporting what he's doing. And it's really amazing. And it's funny, my accountant didn't understand like his political party. Like I had to explain to her what a libertarian is, because that's the party that he ran on is the libertarian ticket. And you know, I forget the way she explained it, but it's like he just kind of came out of nowhere. And it's like the two mainstream candidates that were running, the what would be considered the conservative one, she basically conceded to let Javier be the candidate. And it's just like everybody that was part of her party, they all went and supported him and swept him in. But I was telling her that, people in America, they can look at Argentina and they think, oh, you know, if we vote for Donald Trump or some Republican, that he's going to do the same thing. And I'm like, no, he's not. Um, Republicans are not equipped to do a libertarian's job. If you really want the swamp drained and you really want the government shrunk, you need to have somebody who isn't bought and paid for by those interests that profit from having a big government. So, yeah, I think it would be hilarious if we had somebody like him that was, you know, in a position in our government that can just start, eliminating some of these departments and, all these jobs. And man, talk about chaos that would erupt, because so many people in America rely on some kind of government handout. If they don't work for the government, then they receive some kind of assistance from the government. And really, that's the only thing that makes the central government here in the United States relevant, is the fact that so many people are relying on it. And I think I saw a tweet earlier today where somebody made the statement that the central government didn't make the states made the central government. That's a historical fact. Now, after the Constitution was ratified, other territories later became states, and, petitioned to become part of the Union. But that doesn't mean that the central government owns those states. And, you know, the less that people require government, then the smaller it can be. And I've talked about this in other episodes about how, excuse me, my voice is going. Uh, I totally believe, I've said this before, that that our founding fathers, when they drafted the Constitution, it was with the intent that the colonies uh, be able to succeed and be able to function independently of a central government. They couldn't do that in the wake of the American Revolution. And um, the fact is that you still have colonizing powers like France and England that were still out there that wanted to uh, get their hands on the natural resources that this continent was full of. So, um, a constitution was drafted to create a central government so that that central government could be a diplomatic entity to deal with these colonizing powers so that we can do business with them in a peaceful manner so that they can buy resources from us instead of us having to fight a war every couple years. So, um, it's I may be opening a can of worms here, but speaking of colonizing powers, my show yesterday was talking about religious subjects to a great degree because I recognize Saturday is the Sabbath, so I tend to not talk about business and other worldly subjects on that day. But a lot of people don't know about something called the French and Indian War, which was a war that the colonies were involved with before the American Revolution. And the reason the French and Indian War was fought was because France wanted to take the colonies away from England and bring them into subjection to the French crown rather than the English crown. And the problem with that was that France rejected the Reformation, meaning they remained loyal to the Vatican. So the French army was essentially the military arm of the Vatican. And in the eyes of the Pope owns the world. And that would include the United States. So ever since this land was discovered, all the explorers that came here, De Soto, Columbus, they were Spanish, and Spain has always been loyal to the Vatican also. So every territory they marked, they were marking it for the Vatican. They were claiming it for the Pope. So as time went on and these colonies started to develop, France, being just their loyal thing, they wanted to put the colonies under French governance, which in turn would have put them under the governance of the Vatican. And of course, the first generation of people that came to the American colonies, they were almost all of them were Protestants. They came here to develop their own system, their own society based on their understanding of the relationship between church and state and the individual and his creator, and not have a monarchy and not have a pope. And England, being a Protestant country, was supportive of that because the people were essentially petitioning the King of England for land here. And but when France wanted to take over, the people freaked out and they petitioned the king for an army to come protect his land from France. So that's essentially how the French and Indian War came to be. And really, the French and Indian War was really France against England. It wasn't France against the Indians. I mean, by this time, the natives, they were kind of, at least the ones on the East Coast and the colonies, they were kind of hip to all of this. And hey, they're like, oh, you're going to give us guns and ammunition and horses and food and money to kill white people? Hey, no problem. So basically the natives became mercenaries for both the French and the English, but that's mostly for the English, and that's why it was called the French and Indian War rather than technically it was World War I, because there were battles of that war that were fought on both sides of the globe. I remember I read a book by a historian that was making that argument, and I didn't realize how big this war actually had grown into. But Escatar is saying Canada was involved too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I believe some of the battles actually took place in Canada. And of course, you've got Quebec, uh, and that province of Canada, which is French, and then the other provinces are English. So yeah, I don't remember the specific names of the battles, but I'm pretty sure a couple of them were fought in Canada. So Canada would have definitely been involved with that. So we're just living in very interesting times right now because, first of all, the advent of the internet has literally provided an opportunity for every human being on this planet to individually connect with every other human being on this planet if they wanted to, and if they had that infrastructure at their disposal. But the technology is here to do that. And because we're able to do that, that has the potential to totally redefine the very structure of our society. And this is why my main focus in doing these live streams is based on the central focus is what I call the successful society. Because not only do we have the tools to do this, but we also have the knowledge. And I don't want to brag, but part of why I'm doing this is to share the knowledge that I've acquired over the course of my life that can contribute to this manifestation. And the funny thing is, it's like the cat's out of the bag. The people whose perspective of society revolves around having to exploit others in order for them to support themselves, which is essentially what governments do. They they have competition now that can't really be done away with. And of course, decentralized finance is another dynamic, another element to this equation. And wow, it's we just have so much opportunity and so much power at our disposal if we would just utilize it and exercise and execute it in a way that is really just edifying for everybody. So, um, yeah, that's really something. So, uh, I'm trying to think of something else to add to this to keep this conversation going. Um, a lot of people are staking X right now. I can tell you that. My phone keeps buzzing here like every couple seconds. There's uh, another stake being made. You know, I often wonder how many people in our space understand that when you stake Hex, you are reducing the supply. When you reduce the supply of something, you that tends to drive up the price, granted that there is a demand for your product. Well, the fact that Hex pays you for staking it creates a demand. So, um, I like to keep things simple. It's great that we have Pulse Chain, and it's great that there are people that are making use of it and building things on it. But I really don't get distracted uh, by any of those things. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about other coins, other platforms, um, but you know, Hex is where it's at, and Hex is the first coin that allows the user to earn yield without having to introduce a middleman. And as Escatar says here, building staking ladders is the way to freedom. Yes, it is. I can testify to that. And it's been a long, long trip. Bitcoin came out in January of 2009. And I found out about it in November of 2011 and got involved to the extent that I could at the time, which of course wasn't as much as I would have liked to. But crypto has really come a long way since then. And it's almost hard to believe that Hex will be 5 years old this November or December, excuse me. Uh, I mean, that means we're one third of we will be approximately one third of the way through our 5555 stakes this December. I mean, talk about time flying. Um, I was scrolling through Facebook today. I don't like Facebook as much as I like Twitter. Seems like all the people that I have real engagement with are all on Twitter, and all the people that I knew growing up are all on Facebook, and um, nobody talks to each other, it seems. But anyway, as I was scrolling through Facebook today, I saw an advertisement that they're going to re-release episode 1 of Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, in theaters, like in the near future for like the 25th anniversary. And I'm like, wait a minute. 25th anniversary? Isn't Star Wars, the first Star Wars, just 25 years old? And I had to realize, no. I'm a little bit older then I realized time has flown by. And the original Star Wars movie, the one that came out in 1977, was like the second movie that I had ever seen in my life. I was like 7 years old. My parents took me to see it because my one aunt took me and my cousin to see a movie previous to that called Sasquatch. And it was a movie about Bigfoot, and it wasn't like the Disney version. It was like the movie scared the living daylights out of me, and I couldn't sleep for like a couple of nights. And it's like I swore I would never go see another movie ever again. And I was like really frantic about it. And my dad one day was like, "Well, hey, let's go see this other movie." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to go see a movie." He's like, "This one's not going to be scary. It's going to be with robots and spaceships and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, if you say so, I'll trust you, Dad." So my parents took me to see Star Wars, and that's how I essentially got hooked uh, on that franchise for pretty much my entire young life. And I remember in 1999, I was working at a telecommunications company in Pennsylvania where I was living at the time. And one of the guys that I had become friends with there, I walked by his station, his workstation one day. He's like, "Hey, come here." He's like, "I want you to see something." And he pulls up this video file, and um, it's a trailer for a movie. And, you know, after seeing the first couple scenes in the trailer, I'm thinking, what is this? And then finally, there's a statement that comes up that says, like, every generation has its villains and its heroes and its legends. And then when it said legend, it showed R2D2 and he started beeping, and my eyes just popped out, my jaw drops. I'm like, "No." And he just looks at me and smiles. It basically, it was the trailer for the Phantom Menace. And I'm just like bouncing off the walls because it was like, you know, Return of the Jedi came out in 1983, and then they ran that as long as they could. And then it was just the whole Star Wars thing was just a blank for like ever. And, you know, people that were into this were always wondering, are they ever going to get around to making episodes 1, 2, and 3? Because if you look at the opening, the scrolling text at the beginning of the first Star Wars movie, it's actually episode 4. And that was a whole new thing in movie production when I saw that. So, yeah. So, anyway, they're re releasing the first prequel, and I'm probably not going to go see it. I've seen enough. To be honest, I've pretty much outgrown the Star Wars franchise by now. I haven't really been keeping up with the storyline. It's kind of, they just recycle the same theme of good versus evil and the lightsabers, and it's like they've painted themselves into a corner as far as their ability to build on the story. And Escatar says, "I saw the first Star Wars in 77 at a drive-in." Speaking of drive-ins, um, if you ever saw the music video for a song, an 80s song called "And We Danced" by a band called the Hooters, I had been to that drive-in several times as a kid because that band is from the county that I'm from in Pennsylvania. And um, that drive-in is located not too far from the house that I grew up in. It's like you can drive there in about a half hour. And it's basically, it used to be, it doesn't exist anymore. But when it did exist, it was right near the intersection of Route 30 and Route 100 in Exton, Pennsylvania. And I saw a couple of movies there, like Superman 2, Superman 4, Top Gun. I think I saw Smokey and the Bandit there. Just it was a big thing when I was a kid. So um, when that song first came out, it just got so overplayed on MTV. It was kind of a nuisance because they had just closed the drive-in uh, a couple years before they shot that video, and they hadn't demolished it yet, but it was closed. And yeah, that song just got so overplayed. And so it wasn't until just a couple years ago I looked it up on YouTube, and to reminisce, I was checking it out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all that. And it's amazing how quickly time flies when you get older. And so, and it looks like time is flying on this live stream. I'm almost at an hour, so I'm glad that I've been able to keep the ship afloat, not to Bogart from RG3's theme, but I'm glad to be able to stay online longer than I expected. So, anyway, yeah, it's been a good day. I may wait until tomorrow afternoon to stream just because I don't know what's going to come to me between tonight and tomorrow morning that will be worth, talking about. So we'll see what happens. But my goal is to stream every day, maybe not at the same time. As I've said before, I have a previous commitment on Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings. And so let me take another quick look at Twitter here to see if there's anything worth talking about before I end this stream, just so I can try and extend it for an hour. Let's see. Here's another site that is, well, no, I'm not going to get into it because, like I said, there's only three coins that I highlight here on Twitter. Let me share the screen. I forgot to do that. So here we go. Payout today on Pulse Chain, 6.86 hex per T share. I'm loving these higher payouts. There's a guy named Dustin Hawks who made a comment on Twitter earlier today about the necessity of supporting Hex on the Ethereum chain because the success of Hex on the Ethereum chain is going to bear witness to the credibility of Hex on Pulse Chain, which in turn will affect the success of Pulse Chain altogether. I forget the way he worded it, but it made sense the way he said it. His point being the eHex is still important, and it should not be dismissed as just because it's on a different network. So let's see. Pulsalina Hexalot is quite a character with her kitty cat memes. She did a Grok examination of herself, and Grok just ripped her up one side and down the other. It's kind of funny, but it's like, man, she's not that bad. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I'm not seeing anything that is really noteworthy. Um, Somebody made a comment questioning how many Bitcoin ETF commercials are going to be aired during the Super Bowl. Um, I don't know. I'm not going to guess. I really don't care. Um, Crypto was invented to not require ETFs to provide a value proposition to our space. Crypto was invented to empower individual economic activity. And Richard took that principle to a whole other level when he invented Hex. So, yeah, we don't need ETFs. It's like you can, if you look at the chart for gold, after the gold ETF was launched, that didn't make gold moon. And as Eschatar is saying here, ETFs were invented to insert middlemen and collect fees. That's exactly right. And because in order for certain assets to be sold on a securities market, an ETF is necessary to serve as a de facto owner of that asset. Gold is a product of nature. Nobody can claim ownership of gold unless they actually dig it up or they have it and they hold it themselves, but they can't claim to be the origin of gold. And that's why a gold ETF was invented. So gold, the ETF is basically a de facto owner of gold. So now that can be bought and sold as a security on exchanges. But essentially, ETFs are middlemen. They collect fees. They don't work for free. So we don't need an ETF in Hex. And so that's that. But anyway, I am coming up on an hour here. So I am going to wind this stream down and just, I have some other things I need to take care of around the house too. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up this afternoon, this evening. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night. You rest well, and we'll meet again soon. So take care, everyone. Enjoy. Bye.